All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're strapping in and blasting off with SpaceX's Starship program.
Definitely.
Specifically, their upcoming Flight 6 launch.
Yeah.
Talk about exciting stuff.
Yeah.
You actually sent me some excerpts from an article just titled Flight 6.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, it is absolutely packed with juicy details.
Oh, for sure.
So you ready to really dig into this launch and see what it's all about?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so first things first. The article points out that today, November 19th, 2024, this is launch day
Big day.
for Flight 6.
Hmm.
But this isn't like those early test flights.
Right.
This comes right on the heels of that awesome success with Flight 5. I mean, we saw that super heavy booster
Oh, yeah.
land back on the launch pad using those crazy chopstick arms. It was like something out of a movie, and they nailed it.
It's pretty wild.
So can you talk about what that successful landing means, not just for Starship, but for, space travel in general?
Well, I think the big thing here is that SpaceX, they've been all about this reusability concept. Oh, yeah. From the beginning. And the chopstick system, it's absolutely essential to making Starship live up to its name.
I see.
Because instead of just ditching the booster in the ocean after every single launch.
Which is what we're used to.
Right, exactly. They're catching it like right out of the air, ready to use again. And it's not just a cool visual.
Yeah.
This could seriously change how we think about the cost of space travel.
Okay, so how much are we talking here? Like, how much could reusability actually impact costs?
Well, some estimates say that this level of reusability could cut the cost of launching payloads by, get this, up to 90%.
90,
Seriously.
compared to traditional methods.
That's insane. I mean, it makes sense, but to
Yeah.
hear that number, that's a game changer.
It really is. It makes those super ambitious missions to Mars or even further out, suddenly they're not so far-fetched.
Wow. Okay. Well, on the topic of pushing limits, the article mentions that Flight 6, they're going for that chopstick landing again.
Of course, going to keep testing. And I'm thinking, they already nailed it once. So why is it so important to prove they can do it over and over?
It all boils down to reliability.
Makes sense.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Flight 5 was a huge win. But rocket science, it's all about constantly learning and getting better each time.
Yeah.
Remember that flap actuator issue on Flight 3?
Oh, right.
They had to take all that data, go back, redesign the system, and now they're implementing those fixes with Flight 6.
So they're always improving. That makes sense.
Exactly. It's this iterative process that builds confidence and ultimately makes sure the system works reliably every single time, not just once.
So it's not just doing something amazing once. It's about proving they've figured it out.
Exactly.
Now, we've talked about the booster landing, but the article also mentioned that Flight 6 is aiming for a controlled splashdown of the Starship upper stage in the Indian Ocean. Now, why is that significant? Especially when we're thinking about those deep space missions.
Well, the upper stage of Starship, it's designed to be like a deep space ferry, taking crew and cargo all the way to Mars, maybe even beyond. But imagine coming back from a mission like that.
Yeah.
You can't just land a massive ship on a runway like we're used to.
I guess not.
A controlled splashdown, that's the safest and most realistic way to bring Starship back to Earth after traveling those crazy distances.
So are they just trying to see if they can do it, or is there more to these splashdown tests?
It's about fine-tuning the whole process. Re-entry and splashdown, those are critical procedures. They've got to nail them to guarantee the safety of future crews and, honestly, to protect that super expensive spacecraft.
Yeah, I imagine even with reusable spacecraft, repairs after a rough landing wouldn't be cheap.
No kidding.
Speaking of improvements, the article also talked about some design optimizations and procedural adjustments for Flight 6.
Oh, yeah, they're always tweaking things.
Starship just seems so advanced. What kinds of changes are we even talking about here?
Well, it could be anything, really. For example, they might have found ways to get even better fuel efficiency out of those Raptor engines. Or maybe they made tiny tweaks to Starship's aerodynamics based on what they learned from Flight 5.
So basically, they're using data to get better every time.
Precisely. Every flight, it's a chance to gather information and refine the whole system. That's how SpaceX stays ahead of the game.
It's amazing how they just keep innovating.
It's pretty impressive.
So to sum it all up for everyone listening, it sounds like Flight 6 is all about building on what they achieved with Flight 5. They're focusing on proving the reliability of that chopstick landing system.
Yeah, right.
And really pushing the boundaries of what Starship is capable of. It's feeling more and more real, these future Mars missions, huh?
Yeah, it's getting tangible now. It all leads to a pretty big question. If SpaceX keeps hitting these milestones, How far off are we, really, from seeing humans step foot on Mars?
That's the question, isn't it? I think that's going to keep a lot of us on the edge of our seats waiting to see what happens.
I know I will be.
So everybody, keep an eye out for updates on Flight 6, and let's see what the future holds for Starship and the future of space exploration. Until next time, keep looking up,
Absolutely.
and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Sounds good.